Release the past. Spiritual practices to heal emotional wounds. Introduction. Understanding the weight of emotional wounds. To heal is not to forget but to integrate and elevate, to weave the threads of our pain into a larger tapestry of wisdom and growth. In this journey, we do not erase what has come before. Instead, we hold it gently, viewing each wound as a passage toward understanding the deeper layers of self. As the ancient mystics teach, our emotional scars are not signs of weakness but rather sacred markers on the map of our soul's journey. Through the lens of Gnosticism and Rosicrucian teachings, we are invited to reinterpret the pains of the past, not as burdens but as points of initiation, doorways through which our spirit is urged to expand. To engage with our wounds is to step into the role of both seeker and healer, understanding that these experiences carry the potential to illuminate the vast reaches of our inner landscapes. Each wound, seen in this light, becomes an invitation, a calling to venture inward and retrieve parts of ourselves that may have been forgotten, rejected, or misunderstood. The mystic perspective shows us that every hurt has a counterpart in healing, and every fear holds within it a kernel of courage waiting to be unlocked. Emotional wounds, then, are more than memories of pain. They are messages from the soul, urging us toward the truth hidden within the depths of our being. Ancient spiritual paths teach that what we often seek outside, in validation, comfort, or escape, resides within as untapped reservoirs of strength. When we approach our past with this understanding, we begin to see our wounds not as failures, but as teachers, guiding us toward integration and wholeness. The concept of wounds as sacred initiations has roots in esoteric traditions. In the Hermetic worldview, the outer world is but a reflection of the inner world, and thus, each challenge we face externally points to a lesson within. In this framework, our emotional wounds mirror the limitations we have yet to overcome and the truths we have yet to embrace. Through the practice of self-awareness, we can begin to unravel the meaning behind our pain and uncover the spiritual insights it offers. Gnostics spoke of gnosis, a profound self-knowledge that transcends intellectual understanding and reaches into the very essence of one's soul. By confronting our wounds, we move closer to this sacred knowledge, transforming pain into enlightenment and suffering into a path of awakening. Our emotional wounds often feel heavy, yet this weight is but a measure of the wisdom they contain. Just as an alchemist must hold lead before transmuting it into gold, we must hold our pain fully before it can be transformed. This requires courage, the courage to face discomfort, to sit with vulnerability, and to release the instinct to suppress or escape. For true healing begins with the willingness to feel, to allow each sensation, memory, and emotion to surface without judgment. Only then can we engage with our wounds on a level beyond words, reaching into the energetic imprints they leave upon our hearts and minds. It is here, in this raw honesty, that the seeds of transformation are sown, and the possibility of freedom takes root. As we embark on this journey, let us embrace the understanding that our emotional wounds are not setbacks but stepping stones, each one leading us closer to the truth of who we are. With each step, we dismantle the illusions that keep us bound to past hurts and cultivate a deeper, more resilient self-awareness. In recognizing the divine nature of our journey, we begin to view our emotional landscape as sacred ground, a temple within where every experience is a prayer and every insight a blessing. We are not here to fight our pain but to meet it, honor it, and ultimately transcend it, weaving the threads of our experiences into a tapestry of wisdom and grace. In doing so, we answer the call of our higher self, stepping into the freedom that comes from embracing our wholeness. Before we dive into this transformative audiobook, hit like and subscribe if you're ready to learn something truly powerful. Your support helps bring more audiobooks like this to the channel. Thanks for being with us. Chapter 1. Recognizing emotional wounds as pathways to wisdom. In the eyes of the mystic, pain and wisdom are often two sides of the same coin, intertwined and inseparable. Every wound carries within it a seed of understanding, a glimpse of knowledge that can only be gained through the experience of vulnerability. Gnostic traditions speak of Sophia, the divine wisdom, emerging from the depths of struggle and separation. In this light, our emotional wounds are not simply unfortunate events or sources of sorrow. They are opportunities to awaken to parts of ourselves that lie dormant, waiting for recognition and integration. The suffering we endure is a call to become acquainted with these hidden facets of our psyche, to draw them up from the depths of the subconscious and into the light of conscious awareness. This journey of uncovering wisdom within wounds begins with acceptance. Often, our instinct is to suppress or ignore painful emotions, seeing them as obstacles to happiness rather than gateways to insight. Yet, ancient teachings remind us that true strength arises not from the denial of our pain but from the courage to face it directly. By acknowledging our suffering, we step into a role that transcends victimhood, assuming instead the role of an alchemist or seeker. The Hermetic tradition teaches that the journey of transformation starts with observation, holding our pain as one would hold a mirror, studying it, seeing what it reveals about the unspoken stories we carry. This act of observing, without resistance or judgment, marks the beginning of healing, as we start to understand that our wounds do not define us. They are simply signposts guiding us toward deeper understanding. As we delve into the nature of our wounds, we begin to see recurring themes and patterns, revealing what the mystics called core wounds. These are the foundational experiences or beliefs that shape our perception of self and reality, often rooted in feelings of abandonment, betrayal, or inadequacy. When these wounds are left unexamined, they grow into filters that distort how we interpret the world around us. But once we begin to identify these core wounds, we open the door to self-awareness. Like a Rosicrucian adept deciphering ancient symbols, we start to decode the language of our pain, seeing the lessons hidden beneath its surface. Each core wound is a key, and when we hold it with reverence, it unlocks aspects of our soul that we may not have recognized before, revealing inner resources of compassion, strength, and wisdom. Through this process, we also learn that healing is not about erasing pain but rather about integrating its lessons. Gnostic wisdom speaks of wholeness as a state of embracing all aspects of self, both light and shadow, without rejecting or denying any part. In this context, healing becomes an act of reclaiming parts of ourselves that were fragmented or lost, gathering them together to form a more complete picture of who we are. This is a journey of reclamation, where we bring each wounded piece into alignment with the whole, transforming our understanding of self from one of separation to one of unity. As we incorporate these fragmented parts, we move closer to the experience of gnosis, a profound self-knowing that transcends intellectual understanding and touches the very essence of our being. Ultimately, by recognizing our emotional wounds as pathways to wisdom, we transform our perception of suffering. Instead of viewing pain as a random, meaningless event, we see it as a teacher, offering guidance on the path to self-realization. Each wound becomes a symbol of the lessons we have learned and the growth we have achieved, a testament to our resilience and capacity for transformation. The more we embrace this perspective, the more empowered we become, no longer fearing the wounds of life but welcoming them as opportunities for deeper connection with our true self. Through this shift in perception, we cultivate a state of inner peace that remains undisturbed by external circumstances, rooted in the knowledge that every challenge we face is an invitation to grow, evolve, and remember the sacred wisdom that resides within us. Chapter 2: Archetypes of Suffering, Discovering Universal Patterns. In the labyrinth of human emotion, we find that suffering often arises in predictable patterns, resonating across time and cultures. These patterns, known in mystical and psychological traditions as archetypes, serve as universal symbols of the human experience. Jungian psychology presents archetypes as primordial symbols that exist within the collective unconscious, while esoteric traditions view them as reflections of cosmic principles, timeless in their wisdom and profound in their influence. By identifying the archetypes underlying our emotional wounds, we come to recognize that our suffering is not an isolated experience. It is part of a vast, interconnected web of human experience. This realization offers both relief and insight, as we understand that our pain is part of something greater, a universal pattern that has shaped countless lives before ours. One prominent archetype in the tapestry of suffering is the wounded child. This archetype represents the emotional wounds of our early years, the vulnerable experiences that shape our beliefs about the world and ourselves. It embodies the themes of innocence lost and the quest for healing the inner child within each of us. The wounded child often carries feelings of abandonment, betrayal, or inadequacy, shaping how we respond to similar experiences in adulthood. Esoteric traditions view this archetype as a reminder of the sacredness of our inner child, a part of ourselves that remains sensitive to the world's harshness. By recognizing the wounded child within, we begin to understand our own insecurities and fears, learning to offer the compassion and nurturing that this part of ourselves has longed for. Embracing the wounded child archetype becomes an act of reclamation, a journey to reclaim the innocence and joy that may have been lost in early experiences. Another powerful archetype is the betrayed lover, symbolizing the wounds inflicted by broken trust, unrequited love, or deep emotional abandonment. The betrayed lover reflects our yearning for union and the pain that arises when this longing is met with separation or rejection. In Gnostic philosophy, this archetype represents the soul's quest to reunite with the divine, a journey fraught with both love and loss. When we encounter this archetype in our lives, it reveals our desire for connection and intimacy and our vulnerability to the heartbreak that often accompanies such desires. By recognizing the betrayed lover within, we begin to unravel the fears and insecurities that stem from past betrayals, understanding that true union is not found in another but within ourselves. This archetype teaches us that the journey of love, in its highest form, is a path back to the self, where we embrace our own wholeness rather than seeking completion in external relationships. The martyr is another archetype deeply woven into the fabric of human suffering, representing the theme of sacrifice, self-denial, and the quest for validation through hardship. Often, the martyr feels compelled to endure suffering for a perceived greater good, sacrificing personal needs for the benefit of others or for a cause. Mystical traditions, especially within Christian mysticism, regard the martyr archetype as one who embodies the essence of self-sacrifice, finding meaning in the willingness to give of oneself. However, the shadow aspect of the martyr arises when sacrifice becomes a means of seeking approval or avoiding one's own needs. Recognizing this pattern within ourselves allows us to question our motives, examining whether our sacrifices are rooted in genuine compassion or in a need for validation. By understanding the martyr archetype, we learn to strike a balance between selflessness and self-care, honoring our own needs while remaining compassionate toward others. The warrior is an archetype that reflects our struggle with challenges and the courage required to confront adversity. In moments of suffering, the warrior within calls upon our resilience, encouraging us to face our pain with strength and determination. The warrior archetype is celebrated in esoteric traditions as a symbol of inner fortitude, the ability to stand firm in the face of difficulty, and the will to overcome inner and outer obstacles. However, the shadow side of the warrior emerges when we use aggression as a defense against vulnerability or when we become overly focused on conquest, neglecting our emotional well-being. By acknowledging the warrior within, we learn that true strength lies not in resisting pain but in accepting it with courage. The warrior teaches us that suffering is a part of life, but so is the capacity to endure and grow stronger through each challenge we face. Finally, we encounter the seeker, an archetype embodying the soul's longing for truth, wisdom, and self-discovery. The seeker arises in times of existential questioning, when we feel called to explore the depths of our suffering to uncover its hidden meaning. This archetype reflects our innate desire to transcend ordinary experiences and connect with something greater, a search for purpose that is often ignited by moments of hardship. Esoteric traditions view the seeker as a symbol of the soul's journey through darkness and light, a pilgrimage toward enlightenment. The seeker teaches us that suffering, while painful, can be a gateway to deeper understanding. When we recognize the seeker within, we embrace the unknown, allowing our wounds to guide us on a path of self-exploration and transformation. The seeker reminds us that wisdom is not handed to us but is earned through the courage to face life's uncertainties and embrace its mysteries. Through understanding these archetypes, we begin to see our own suffering in a new light. No longer do we view our pain as meaningless. Rather, we recognize it as a language of symbols, each wound carrying a message that can guide us to greater self-awareness and compassion. By identifying our predominant archetype, we gain clarity on the patterns that shape our responses to emotional challenges. We learn to witness our experiences from a higher perspective, seeing our struggles not as random hardships but as opportunities to embody the virtues of courage, compassion, and wisdom. In this way, our wounds become more than scars. They become badges of honor, reminders of the resilience we have cultivated and the insights we have gained. Ultimately, the study of archetypes in our lives invites us to explore the depths of our own souls, unlocking a reservoir of wisdom that lies hidden beneath our conscious awareness. These patterns of suffering are ancient, their lessons eternal. Each archetype offers a unique pathway to healing, encouraging us to embrace both our light and shadow, to accept both our strengths and vulnerabilities. By recognizing the archetypes that resonate within us, we honor the sacred journey of transformation, acknowledging that our wounds are not merely obstacles but initiations into a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe. Through this awareness, we step into a realm of self-discovery that transcends individual experience, connecting us with the timeless wisdom shared by all who have walked the path of healing before us. Chapter 3. The Nature of Memory and the Mystical Power of Forgetting. Memory, that ethereal keeper of experience, acts as both a guardian and a gatekeeper of the self. It weaves the fabric of our identity, grounding us in the stories we tell ourselves and carrying within its layers the echoes of joys, sorrows, and countless moments that have shaped us. Yet, in the path of spiritual growth, memory is both a guide and an obstacle. Esoteric traditions, particularly within Hermeticism and Rosicrucian thought, perceive memory as a sacred bridge, a vessel through which the soul recalls essential truths. However, these traditions also teach that memory can imprison, binding the soul to past sorrows and limiting its potential to grow and transcend. Memory, when misunderstood, chains us to wounds that no longer serve our higher purpose. And so, there exists a hidden power within forgetting, an act not of negation, but of liberation, a conscious choice to release memories that tether us to outdated versions of ourselves. In the mystical context, memory is understood not as a linear sequence but as a fluid presence, like an ocean that flows into and informs the present moment. Ancient teachings, particularly within the Gnostic tradition, describe memory as a facet of the divine mind, an eternal aspect of consciousness that preserves the soul's journey across lifetimes. In this way, memory holds within it the essence of the soul's wisdom, yet it can also contain remnants of suffering that cloud the mind's clarity. Just as a river may carry silt, clouding the purity of its waters, so too can memories gather emotional residue, altering our perception and limiting our awareness. Gnostic teachings encourage us to explore memory as a reflection of divine consciousness, a vast and interconnected repository of insight and experience. By understanding memory in this light, we begin to discern which memories hold genuine insight and which carry only the weight of past wounds. The concept of sacred forgetting emerges in these traditions as a purposeful and conscious release, a way of clearing the heart's path to self-realization. This form of forgetting is not about erasing our past but about discerning which memories continue to serve our growth and which impede our evolution. Just as a gardener must prune the withered branches to allow new blossoms to emerge, so must we let go of memories that no longer resonate with our present self. In esoteric practice, this process is akin to a ritual cleansing, an act of purification that clears the mind's energetic field. By intentionally forgetting, by choosing to release what binds us, we make room for new insights, allowing fresh growth and wisdom to flourish. Sacred forgetting thus becomes a powerful act of self-liberation, a mystical form of shedding that restores clarity to the soul's journey. Yet, the act of forgetting can feel like a daunting endeavor, especially when memories are infused with strong emotions or unresolved pain. In the teachings of mystics and sages, the struggle to release painful memories is not a sign of weakness but of the human attachment to identity. Our memories, especially those that carry emotional weight, become intertwined with our sense of self, forming patterns and beliefs that shape our present reality. But these memories are only fragments of our journey, partial truths that do not define the whole. In letting go, we confront the illusion that these experiences hold power over us. By releasing the emotional charge embedded in these memories, we reclaim our authority over the mind, transcending the limitations of past identities. To forget, in this context, is to transcend, to move beyond the self-imposed boundaries of memory and embrace a broader, more liberated existence. Through the wisdom of mystical practices, we learn to approach memory with reverence and discernment. Some memories, especially those bearing love, insight, or profound understanding, are like seeds that nurture the soul's wisdom. They form the foundation of our journey, grounding us in truth and guiding our growth. Others, however, are like echoes, resonant but devoid of substance, carrying only the energy of past pain or regret. In the spiritual journey, we are called to honor the wisdom of memory while also recognizing the freedom that lies in forgetting. This balance between remembrance and release is a sacred dance, a harmonious interplay that brings us closer to our true self. By engaging in this practice, we cultivate a mind that is both rooted in wisdom and open to the boundless potential of the present, unencumbered by the weight of unresolved memories. In our path of healing and self-discovery, we come to understand that memory, while valuable, is not absolute. It is a tool, a guide, but not a master. When we practice sacred forgetting, we engage in a ritual of self-renewal, allowing ourselves to shed the old and embrace the new. Each memory we release frees a part of our consciousness, creating space for higher awareness and deeper understanding. This liberation transforms our relationship with the past, inviting us to hold memories lightly, without attachment, and to cherish the present moment as the true essence of our being. For in the end, it is only by releasing what no longer serves us that we can step fully into our power, aligning ourselves with the timeless flow of existence. Chapter 4. The Emotional Body and its Energetic Imprint. The emotional body, often unseen yet profoundly influential, is an energetic layer interwoven with the physical and spiritual self. Mystics, especially those in Gnostic and esoteric traditions, describe it as a reservoir for emotional experiences and traumas that shape our perspectives and influence our interactions. This subtle, emotional layer holds the energy of unresolved feelings, manifesting as blocks or disruptions in our physical and spiritual lives. It acts as a veil that colors our perceptions, filtering our experiences through past wounds or unresolved grief. When we carry these energetic imprints, we unknowingly project them onto our world, creating patterns and repeating scenarios that seem to confirm our deepest fears. To truly release the past, we must first learn to recognize and work with the emotional body, clearing the patterns of hurt that dwell within it. In esoteric understanding, emotions are not merely fleeting experiences. They are vibrant energies that ripple through the emotional body, leaving behind imprints or echoes that shape our inner landscape. These imprints, much like memories in the mental body, linger within us, affecting our thoughts, reactions, and even physical well-being. When an emotion is left unresolved, be it sadness, anger, or fear, it creates a density within the emotional body, forming energetic knots that restrict our natural flow of life force. Ancient teachings often liken these imprints to stones or weights in a flowing river, obstructing the smooth passage of water and altering its course. To heal, we must remove these obstructions, allowing our energy to flow freely once more. By understanding the emotional body as a landscape, one where memories and feelings are stored, we begin to see how our past continues to influence our present reality. These energetic imprints do not simply dissipate over time, they linger until acknowledged and consciously released. In Gnostic teachings, for instance, the journey to enlightenment involves facing and dissolving these shadows within, as they are seen as obstacles on the path to divine knowledge. The Hermetic principle, as within, so without, teaches that these inner patterns manifest externally, drawing us into situations that mirror our unresolved emotions. This is why, in our relationships and experiences, we often encounter the same challenges repeatedly. They are manifestations of the unresolved emotional imprints we carry within our energetic field. Through conscious awareness, we can begin to understand that these repeated patterns are not random but are, in fact, invitations from the universe to heal and transcend. By clearing the emotional body, we align ourselves more closely with our true essence, free from the cycles of repeated pain. The process of healing the emotional body is often akin to a sacred cleansing, where one acknowledges and lovingly releases each imprint, each burden that has shaped their journey. Esoteric traditions view this as a form of purification, a spiritual practice that restores one's inner harmony. Visualization techniques, meditative journeys, and energy work are common methods used to gently release these emotional imprints. In Gnostic and Rosicrucian traditions, practitioners were taught to visualize light flooding their emotional body, illuminating areas of darkness or density and transforming them into pure, flowing energy. By regularly engaging in this cleansing, one not only clears past burdens but also fortifies the emotional body against future disturbances. This ongoing process helps transform the emotional body from a space of confinement into one of freedom and clarity, allowing the self to experience life without the distortions of unresolved pain. Our relationship with the emotional body ultimately influences our spiritual and personal growth. As we cleanse and purify this energetic layer, we create space for higher frequencies of love, compassion, and understanding to enter. The emotional body, once a realm of burdened energies, transforms into a sanctuary of peace, supporting rather than hindering our spiritual progress. This purification opens us to deeper states of self-awareness and aligns us more fully with our higher self. By embracing the practice of emotional cleansing, we honor ourselves not as mere vessels of past pain but as beings of profound potential. The journey of clearing the emotional body is a journey toward wholeness, revealing the divine clarity and peace that reside within each of us. Through this path, we learn to navigate life from a place of inner freedom, unbound by the shadows of the past. Chapter 5. Ancestral Wounds, Healing Through the Lineage. Ancestral wounds, as understood in many mystical traditions, represent the lingering echoes of past generations that shape our present reality. They are patterns of trauma, unhealed emotions, and ingrained beliefs passed down through familial lineage, forming an unseen legacy that influences our thoughts, behaviors, and emotional responses. In Gnostic and Rosicrucian teachings, Ancestral energy is recognized as a powerful force embedded within the soul, binding us to both the strengths and burdens of our forebears. These inherited wounds become spiritual challenges for the individual, presenting an opportunity to transcend not only personal pain but also the collective emotional weight of those who came before. Healing ancestral wounds is, therefore, an act of both personal and collective liberation, allowing us to break free from the invisible chains that have bound our lineage. The concept of ancestral karma teaches that each generation inherits the unresolved energies of those who came before, both light and shadow. Often, these inherited patterns are not obvious, manifesting instead as recurring life challenges, inexplicable fears, or persistent emotional responses. Ancient mystics viewed these energies as living memories within the soul, urging for release and transformation. The Hermetic principle, as above, so below, suggests that what we carry in our energy fields mirrors the larger, inherited experiences of our bloodline. To heal our ancestral wounds, we must first recognize these patterns within ourselves, discerning where our individual pain intersects with the collective pain of our family. This awareness enables us to begin the process of transformation, breaking free from cycles that have perpetuated across generations. Ancestral healing is not merely a release of past burdens but a profound act of honoring and understanding the lives of those who came before us. By acknowledging the struggles, sorrows, and dreams of our ancestors, we open ourselves to a compassionate connection with them. Many esoteric traditions, such as the Rosicrucians, teach that ancestral healing requires not only introspection but also an acknowledgement of the resilience and wisdom embedded within the lineage. The energies of our ancestors are not solely composed of their pain, they also hold their strength, their resilience, and their hope. In healing their wounds, we tap into their strengths, creating a bridge between past and present where wisdom and compassion flow freely. Through this process, we transform ancestral energy from a source of limitation into a wellspring of strength and guidance. Esoteric teachings emphasize that we are not separate from those who came before us, and by healing ourselves, we contribute to the liberation of our lineage. This transformation often involves rituals of release, meditation, and acts of forgiveness toward both known and unknown ancestors. Rosicrucian practices, for instance, encourage individuals to visualize their lineage and imagine light flowing through each ancestral figure, dissolving old wounds and restoring balance to the family's energetic field. By engaging in these rituals, we reframe the concept of heritage, no longer viewing it as a source of inherited burdens but as a tapestry woven with the transformative power of love and healing. As we heal, we offer our ancestors a chance to find peace within our souls, symbolically rewriting the script of our lineage. Through the healing of ancestral wounds, we emerge not only as individuals freed from inherited constraints but also as vessels of ancestral wisdom and love. We become carriers of a renewed lineage, empowered to live in alignment with our true self, unburdened by past traumas. This healing serves as a gift to future generations, breaking the cycle of pain and passing down a legacy of resilience, compassion, and strength. Each act of healing we undertake ripples through the fabric of our lineage, transforming it from one marked by suffering to one illuminated by love and wisdom. The journey to heal ancestral wounds, therefore, becomes a sacred act of service to both our past and our future, a testament to the profound interconnectedness of all souls. Chapter 6. Understanding and Healing Core Beliefs of Unworthiness. Core beliefs of unworthiness lie like hidden roots in the soil of the subconscious mind, intertwining with our thoughts, emotions, and actions. In the teachings of ancient mystics, these beliefs are seen not merely as psychological blocks but as illusions masking the truth of our divine origin. Gnosticism and Rosicrucian philosophies, for example, present unworthiness as a veil shrouding the inner sanctum of the soul, concealing our inherent wholeness and radiance. To confront and transform these beliefs is to walk a sacred path of self-realization, a journey from illusion into the awareness of our eternal worth. By examining these beliefs closely, we recognize them as misaligned thoughts that have limited our capacity for self-love, growth, and true expression, obstructing the path toward our highest self. In the mystical perspective, unworthiness is often born from accumulated experiences, misunderstood as truths. These beliefs are shaped not only by our personal experiences but by collective conditioning, societal expectations, and inherited familial patterns. The Hermetic principle of mentalism, which states, "all is mind," teaches that the beliefs we hold, even those hidden in the depths of our subconscious, directly shape our reality. When we internalize feelings of inadequacy or inferiority, we unconsciously align our thoughts and actions with these distortions, reinforcing a cycle of limitation. This understanding urges us to see unworthiness as an energetic imprint rather than an intrinsic part of who we are. By recognizing its external origins, we take the first step toward liberating ourselves from its grip and reconnecting with the boundless worth within. Ancient esoteric traditions reveal that beliefs of unworthiness act as spiritual obstacles, hindering our ability to access deeper levels of consciousness and divine love. These teachings suggest that overcoming unworthiness is not merely about changing our self-image but about restoring the connection to our spiritual essence, which is untouched by worldly judgments. In the Gnostic worldview, every soul is seen as a spark of the divine, a unique expression of the infinite, inherently valuable and worthy of love. This knowledge lies dormant within us, veiled by layers of self-doubt and conditioned beliefs. As we peel back these layers, we encounter our true self, a being of light and potential, capable of manifesting wisdom, love, and creativity beyond measure. Healing unworthiness, therefore, is not a superficial transformation. It is a sacred act of reclaiming the divine inheritance that resides within. The journey of healing core beliefs of unworthiness requires both courage and patience. Gnostic and Rosicrucian practices often emphasize self-exploration and reflection, guiding the seeker to uncover and understand these deeply ingrained beliefs. In a quiet, contemplative space, we can observe our inner dialogue, noting where the shadows of unworthiness reside and questioning their validity. This practice is akin to alchemy, transforming base beliefs into pure gold by revealing the truth beneath the illusion. By consciously replacing thoughts of inadequacy with affirmations of worth, we begin to reshape our mental and emotional landscape. Over time, we learn to nurture and trust our intrinsic value, building a stable foundation of self-worth that is immune to external judgment or comparison. As we shed these beliefs, we awaken to the liberating realization that our worth is beyond measure, rooted in the essence of who we are. This self-worth, grounded in the truth of our spiritual nature, enables us to move through life with confidence and openness, unburdened by the need for external validation. Embracing our worth aligns us with the flow of divine love, making us more receptive to the beauty and abundance that life offers. This transformation from unworthiness to self-worth is a profound shift that impacts not only our perception of ourselves but also our interactions, choices, and experiences. In embodying this truth, we step into a new reality, one in which we are guided by the knowing that we are, and have always been, whole, complete, and infinitely worthy. Chapter 7. Reclaiming Power Through Forgiveness of Self and Others. Forgiveness is a profound act of spiritual liberation, a bridge that leads us from the past into the present, free from the constraints of resentment, regret, and guilt. In esoteric teachings, forgiveness is seen not as mere absolution of wrongdoing but as an energetic release, a reclaiming of our own power. When we hold on to grievances, we bind ourselves energetically to the people and experiences associated with them, creating subtle threads that drain our vitality and obscure our vision. Ancient mystics, including the Rosicrucians and Gnostics, viewed forgiveness as a path to reclaiming lost energy, a process through which we dissolve the knots that tie us to our pain and rediscover the inherent lightness of being. By forgiving, we not only release the past but also liberate ourselves to fully embrace the present, where our true power resides. Forgiving oneself is perhaps one of the most challenging and essential steps on this journey. Self-forgiveness requires confronting our own sense of inadequacy, failure, or shame and gently dissolving these judgments. In the Gnostic view, the self is seen as an unfolding essence, continuously evolving and learning, rather than a static identity bound by past actions. By viewing our mistakes as part of this evolutionary process, we allow compassion to replace condemnation. Forgiving oneself is not an act of condoning or dismissing, but of understanding and accepting. It is the recognition that we, like all beings, are on a path of learning and growth, and that each experience, whether perceived as a success or failure, serves as a lesson. In releasing self-blame, we reclaim the fragments of our soul lost to guilt and shame, reintegrating them into a renewed sense of wholeness and worth. Forgiveness of others, though equally vital, often feels elusive when wounds run deep. Yet, mystical traditions emphasize that harboring resentment is akin to holding a burning ember with the intention of harming another. Ultimately, it is we who are burned. Rosicrucian wisdom teaches that forgiveness of others is an act of self-preservation, a recognition that by releasing others, we are freeing ourselves from cycles of suffering. This act of release allows us to transcend the duality of victim and perpetrator, entering a state of spiritual equanimity where both can be seen through the lens of understanding. Forgiveness does not erase memory or diminish the significance of what happened. Rather, it shifts the power dynamics, placing authority back in our hands, untethered by emotional chains that drain our spirit. At the core of forgiveness lies the concept of energetic purification, a letting go of dense, negative emotions that cloud our vision and block the flow of divine energy. When we forgive, we create space within ourselves for new, healing energies to enter. Ancient mystics regarded this act as an essential purification of the soul, aligning it with higher states of consciousness. As we forgive, we open a channel through which divine grace can flow, transforming our inner landscape and uplifting our entire being. In this purified state, we become vessels for greater compassion, understanding, and peace, capable of extending love where there once was only resentment. This transformation not only heals the heart but also elevates our entire being, creating a state of harmony that resonates outward, impacting everyone we encounter. Through forgiveness, we arrive at a deeper understanding of our interconnectedness. The act of forgiveness reveals the oneness underlying all of existence, a recognition that we are all reflections of each other, bound by shared experiences of learning, struggle, and redemption. In forgiving ourselves and others, we break the illusion of separateness that perpetuates suffering, embracing the higher truth of unity and compassion. We begin to see that the pains and betrayals we experience are also opportunities for growth and that through them, we are guided toward greater wisdom. In this light, forgiveness becomes not merely an act of letting go but a pathway to higher consciousness, a sacred practice that draws us closer to the divine essence within and around us, allowing us to step forward unburdened, fully empowered, and aligned with the truth of our soul. Chapter 8. The Wisdom of the Present Moment, Anchoring in Now. The present moment is the portal through which all healing and growth flow, an oasis of power and clarity in the river of existence. To the mystic, the now is not merely a point in time but a gateway to eternity, where all possibilities converge. Gnostic and Hermetic traditions emphasize that true liberation is found not in revisiting the past or anxiously anticipating the future but in fully inhabiting the here and now. Time, as it is commonly understood, is an illusion that fragments our awareness, pulling us into cycles of regret and anticipation that rob us of the peace and clarity innate to our essence. When we anchor ourselves in the present, we transcend the confines of time, touching a timeless reality where our higher self resides, offering insights and guidance unfettered by past wounds or future anxieties. Living in the present requires the courage to release attachments to past narratives and future projections. Esoteric teachings remind us that each moment is a blank canvas, a new opportunity for creation uncolored by prior experiences unless we allow it to be. The act of fully embracing the present moment is, therefore, a practice of radical freedom. It is a surrendering of control, a willingness to let go of the mental constructs that bind us to repetitive patterns of thought and behavior. By releasing the stories we tell ourselves of what should have been or what might be, we reclaim our inherent power to shape our lives with intention and awareness. The present, in all its purity, invites us to experience life as it unfolds, to connect with the world and ourselves in the most authentic way possible. Esoteric philosophy regards the present as a sacred meeting place between the self and the divine. In Hermetic thought, this alignment with the now is known as achieving resonance with the all, the universal consciousness that pervades all existence. When we attune ourselves to the present, we synchronize our individual awareness with the universal flow, experiencing life as a harmonious dance rather than a series of disconnected events. This state of being allows us to experience unity with the cosmos, drawing on insights and energies that transcend personal limitations. The Gnostic tradition refers to this as gnosis, or direct knowledge, a knowing that is beyond intellect, arising instead from direct communion with the truth of our being. In this state, we find clarity, purpose, and a profound sense of interconnectedness that guides us toward inner peace. Our minds, conditioned by years of anticipation and analysis, often resist the simplicity of the present moment. The mind seeks complexity, replaying memories and rehearsing future scenarios in an effort to maintain a sense of control. Yet, mystical teachings reveal that true mastery comes not from controlling life but from aligning with its natural rhythm, allowing ourselves to flow with rather than against the currents of experience. By centering ourselves in the now, we disengage from the constant pull of mental activity, grounding our awareness in the simplicity of being. This practice cultivates a quiet mind, a state of inner stillness from which all authentic power arises. When we stop wrestling with the mind's incessant need to categorize, compare, and plan, we become open vessels for wisdom and intuition, receptive to the subtle messages that arise from the deeper layers of consciousness. To live in the present is to honor the sacredness of each experience, regardless of its nature. Pain, joy, uncertainty, and peace all become facets of a greater whole, viewed not as separate states but as expressions of life's vast tapestry. By embracing each moment as it is, we cultivate resilience and inner strength, finding beauty and meaning in the entirety of existence. This acceptance brings us closer to our true nature, unencumbered by the constraints of judgment and resistance. In the present moment, we realize that every experience, no matter how fleeting or challenging, holds within it a gift, a lesson, or a revelation waiting to be uncovered. By choosing to live in the now, we empower ourselves to navigate life with grace, grounded in the understanding that we are eternally supported by the vast intelligence of the universe, which continually unfolds for our highest growth and evolution. Chapter 9. The Alchemy of Emotional Transmutation. In the quiet crucible of the soul, emotions undergo their sacred alchemy, shifting from raw, untamed energies into refined states of awareness and insight. This transmutation of emotions is an art deeply revered in esoteric traditions. For the Rosicrucians and Gnostics, it is the cornerstone of self-mastery, where the individual harnesses the lower emotional impulses and elevates them, transforming them into states of compassion, resilience, and understanding. Just as the alchemist turns lead into gold, the practitioner of inner alchemy transmutes grief, anger, or fear into wisdom and strength. This process is not about repressing or bypassing emotions but engaging with them so fully that their true essence is revealed and integrated, aligning us with our higher purpose. The nature of emotional energy is fluid and potent, often overwhelming if left unchecked. It is this very potency that, when refined, can become a source of strength and clarity. By observing our emotions without attachment, we begin to understand them as visitors bearing messages from the depths of our psyche. Anger, for instance, may reveal boundaries we need to establish, while sorrow can open the heart to deeper compassion. When viewed through the lens of transmutation, emotions are no longer obstacles to be overcome but allies on the path to self-knowledge. They serve as indicators, highlighting areas where growth and healing are possible. This reframe invites a state of curiosity rather than resistance, transforming each emotional experience into a step toward wholeness. The Hermetic principle of polarity reminds us that each emotion holds within it the seed of its opposite. This teaching is invaluable in the art of emotional alchemy, as it suggests that by changing our perspective, we can shift the emotional landscape entirely. Fear, for instance, holds the potential for courage, just as anger contains the seed of determination and strength. By acknowledging and embracing this duality, we develop the skill of emotional transmutation, learning to navigate between polarities with grace and awareness. This practice does not deny the existence of challenging emotions but recognizes them as stages in a larger process of growth. In the alchemical journey of the soul, these emotional polarities are necessary ingredients, each one offering a unique lesson that, when fully integrated, brings us closer to the balanced expression of our true self. Emotional transmutation requires a willingness to sit with discomfort, to allow emotions to fully surface without judgment. In many esoteric traditions, this is achieved through contemplative practices, where one observes the mind and heart without interference. Through this observation, emotions gradually lose their grip, revealing their underlying wisdom. This approach invites us to witness our emotional states from a place of neutrality, fostering a sense of inner peace amidst the storm. The mystics refer to this as cultivating the witness state, becoming the observer of our experience rather than the one entangled in it. This shift in awareness allows us to view emotions as transient waves, rising and falling, rather than permanent fixtures. Through this lens, we see that we are not our emotions but the consciousness that witnesses and transforms them. The culmination of emotional alchemy is a profound sense of inner liberation, where we recognize ourselves as co-creators in our emotional reality. By actively engaging in this process, we free ourselves from the reactive patterns that once bound us. Emotions, once seen as barriers, become doorways into deeper self-understanding and spiritual alignment. This transformation aligns us with the timeless wisdom of the mystics, who teach that true power lies not in controlling the external world but in mastering our inner landscape. In the realm of inner alchemy, we find the freedom to choose our responses, to embrace our emotions as sacred teachers, and to walk through life with the quiet confidence that arises from knowing we are capable of transmuting any experience into a source of light and wisdom. Chapter 10. Cultivating Inner Peace, the Art of Emotional Equilibrium. Inner peace, the elusive state sought by mystics and sages, is not an absence of challenges or emotional turbulence but rather a balanced response to them. This equilibrium, which esoteric teachings describe as the alignment of the soul with its true nature, represents a state of centeredness that is both resilient and receptive. For those on the spiritual path, cultivating inner peace is akin to mastering an art, a practice requiring devotion, insight, and continuous refinement. It is the subtle but transformative shift from a reactive existence, influenced by external forces, to a responsive state, grounded in self-awareness and unwavering calm. In this chapter, we explore the mysteries of inner peace and discover that emotional equilibrium is both the journey and the destination in our quest for spiritual harmony. The mystics of Gnostic and Rosicrucian traditions taught that peace originates within, anchored in the higher self that transcends duality. It is only when we mistake ourselves for our thoughts and emotions that we lose access to this calm center. The true essence of peace is a quiet yet potent energy, residing in the awareness that we are more than the shifting landscapes of our mental and emotional states. Just as the eye of a storm remains undisturbed while chaos swirls around it, so too does the soul remain unaffected by the constant movement of thoughts and feelings. This understanding invites us to cultivate detachment, not from life itself but from the habitual identification with our emotions. By stepping back from our immediate reactions, we begin to experience life from a deeper, more expansive perspective, one that is less about control and more about flow. Emotional equilibrium requires the cultivation of patience, for peace is not something attained through force but through gentle, consistent practice. The act of sitting with our emotions, allowing them to be without judgment or suppression, transforms the experience of discomfort into a path towards self-mastery. Many esoteric teachings describe patience as a sacred virtue, a quality that deepens our connection to the present moment. When we learn to stay present with our feelings, without being swayed by them, we gradually develop the strength to remain in our center regardless of the external or internal turbulence. This practice builds an inner foundation that cannot be shaken, allowing us to respond to life's challenges with calm clarity and intentionality. Patience, then, becomes the bridge between emotional reactivity and emotional wisdom, connecting our higher intentions with our everyday experiences. The journey to emotional equilibrium is also a journey of acceptance. Accepting what arises within us without resistance is perhaps one of the most profound acts of peace. This does not mean condoning all that we feel or dismissing actions that stem from difficult emotions. Rather, it is about honoring our internal experiences as part of our evolving story. To accept an emotion is to meet it with compassion and curiosity, to recognize it as an expression of our humanity rather than a threat to our stability. The ancient mystics saw this as the practice of sacred allowance, an approach that honors the full spectrum of our emotional landscape. When we cease to resist, emotions lose their intensity, and we open ourselves to the wisdom they carry. Through acceptance, we transform inner resistance into harmony, allowing each feeling to rise and fall naturally, like waves in the vast ocean of our consciousness. Embracing inner peace also involves cultivating awareness of our triggers, the stimuli that disturb our equilibrium. When we recognize and understand these triggers, we can approach them not as enemies but as opportunities for growth. Each moment of emotional disturbance, each trigger, is a mirror, reflecting back areas within ourselves that call for deeper healing and integration. This awareness requires self-honesty, the courage to look within and see where our peace falters. By facing these parts of ourselves with kindness, we take responsibility for our emotional responses, building resilience and understanding. This process transforms our inner world, teaching us that peace is less about avoiding challenges and more about meeting them with clarity, balance, and a compassionate heart. In cultivating emotional equilibrium, we unlock a form of inner freedom that no external circumstance can disrupt. Peace, when achieved through self-awareness and acceptance, becomes a lasting state rather than a fleeting experience. It imbues every aspect of our lives with a quiet strength, allowing us to navigate even the most turbulent waters with grace. This equilibrium is the foundation upon which true inner mastery is built, a mastery that transcends the superficial layers of control and invites us into a life of genuine presence and joy. When we cultivate this art of emotional equilibrium, we find that peace is not only attainable but sustainable, a testament to our growth and our commitment to living in harmony with ourselves and the world. Through this journey, we come to understand that the greatest power lies in the serene strength of a peaceful heart. Chapter 11. The Sacred Nature of Self-Love, Accepting Yourself as Sacred. Self-love is the cornerstone of spiritual fulfillment, a quiet yet powerful acknowledgement of our inherent worth and divine essence. Rooted in Gnostic and mystical traditions, self-love is not about ego or superiority but about reverence for the soul's journey. To love oneself deeply and without condition is to recognize the sacredness of existence itself, to honor the divine spark within that connects each of us to the greater mystery. Self-love is the wellspring from which true compassion flows, and without it, any attempt to find peace or purpose remains incomplete. In this chapter, we explore the sacred nature of self-love, recognizing it as both a path and a destination on the journey toward wholeness. Ancient teachings often remind us that the self is both mortal and divine, a fusion of the temporal and the eternal. This dual nature is not a flaw but a gift, an invitation to experience and appreciate our multifaceted existence. Yet, in the complexities of daily life, we often forget this truth, allowing self-doubt and insecurity to obscure our inner light. To reconnect with self-love, we must first learn to see ourselves through the lens of compassion and understanding, recognizing our struggles and imperfections as integral parts of our human experience. Just as we would comfort a friend in times of need, we are called to extend this same kindness to ourselves, acknowledging our worth regardless of external achievements or approval. Embracing the sacredness of self-love also involves cultivating self-trust, a fundamental quality often overlooked in spiritual practice. Trusting ourselves means honoring our intuition, our inner voice that guides us toward truth and alignment. Self-trust is the foundation upon which we build a relationship with our inner being, learning to navigate life with confidence in our own wisdom. In mystical traditions, self-trust is seen as a key to unlocking deeper spiritual insights, for it enables us to act from a place of authenticity and courage. When we trust ourselves, we free ourselves from the need for constant external validation, grounding our sense of worth in the unchanging nature of our own soul. This trust is a quiet force, a steady undercurrent that carries us through challenges with resilience and grace. Self-love, at its deepest level, transcends personal affection. It is a form of devotion to the life within us, a reverence for our connection to the divine. This form of love is not dependent on conditions or accomplishments. It simply is, like a sacred flame that burns eternally. In the teachings of the mystics, this flame represents the eternal spirit within, untouched by the world's judgments and challenges. By embracing this flame, we align with the essence of self-love, experiencing it not as something to be earned but as a birthright, a reflection of our innermost nature. This understanding calls us to release the layers of self-criticism and guilt that obscure our light, allowing the flame of self-love to illuminate our path and guide us toward a life of greater harmony and peace. The journey to self-love is also a journey of compassion, a path that invites us to forgive ourselves for past mistakes and unfulfilled expectations. Forgiveness, as taught by many mystical traditions, is a liberating force, a way of releasing the weight of self-judgment and embracing our humanity. When we forgive ourselves, we release the chains of regret and disappointment, freeing ourselves to move forward with a sense of renewal. This act of forgiveness is not about erasing our past but about integrating it, seeing each experience as a valuable lesson that has contributed to our growth. Through self-compassion, we learn to view ourselves with the same patience and understanding that we offer to others, transforming judgment into acceptance and allowing self-love to flow more freely into our lives. To live from a place of self-love is to experience life through the lens of wholeness and contentment. When we accept ourselves as sacred, we no longer seek fulfillment from outside sources. Instead, we recognize that everything we need exists within. This realization brings a profound sense of freedom, for it empowers us to live authentically, unburdened by the need to conform to others' expectations or ideals. Self-love becomes our compass, guiding us toward choices and relationships that honor our true nature. In this state of inner harmony, we experience life not as a series of obstacles but as a sacred journey, a path of discovery that leads us ever closer to the essence of who we truly are. Through self-love, we find our way home to ourselves, embracing the divine light within and shining it brightly into the world. Chapter 12. Embracing the unknown, moving forward without fear. In the journey towards self-mastery, there comes a time when we must face the great unknown, the vast, uncharted territory of life beyond the edges of our comfort and understanding. This chapter speaks to the courage required to move forward without fear, to embrace uncertainty as a guiding force rather than a deterrent. In the mystic traditions, from the Hermetics to the Gnostics, uncertainty is not seen as a void to be feared, but as a fertile ground for growth, an open canvas upon which we create our evolving selves. Embracing the unknown is a call to trust, not only in life but in the inner wisdom that resides within each of us, the wisdom that arises when we relinquish control and allow ourselves to flow with the unfolding mystery of existence. At its heart, fear of the unknown is rooted in attachment to the familiar, the desire to remain within the boundaries of what we perceive as safe and predictable. But the mystic understands that true growth comes not from clinging to the known but from courageously stepping into the realms beyond, where transformation is possible. Each experience, each challenge faced within the unknown, serves as a mirror, revealing aspects of ourselves that remain hidden when we are ensconced within the comfortable. Embracing the unknown is an act of self-trust. It is the recognition that we are equipped with the inner strength to navigate whatever life presents, that the answers we seek already exist within us, waiting to be discovered in the unfolding of our journey. Mystics often speak of courage as a virtue essential to spiritual freedom, for courage allows us to transcend the fears that tether us to a limited experience of life. In embracing the unknown, we are not only stepping away from our fears but expanding our consciousness to encompass possibilities previously unseen. This courage is not a fleeting emotion but a steady force, a decision to stand firm in the face of uncertainty and to welcome the lessons it brings. Just as the alchemist works with unknown substances to transmute base metals into gold, we are called to transmute our fears into wisdom, to approach the unknown as a sacred process of transformation. Through this alchemical courage, we discover resilience and a profound sense of inner power that can only be found when we willingly face the darkness of the unfamiliar. The unknown also teaches us the value of surrender, an act that mystics regard not as defeat but as a profound expression of faith. To surrender to the flow of life is to recognize that control is an illusion, that true power lies in aligning ourselves with the natural rhythms and cycles of existence. When we release our need for certainty, we open ourselves to receive the guidance and insights that arise spontaneously in the present moment. Surrender is an act of trust in the intelligence of the universe, a willingness to let go of our limited perceptions and to embrace the greater mystery that holds us all. It is here, in the space of surrender, that we find peace, a quiet assurance that we are exactly where we are meant to be, guided by forces beyond our immediate understanding. To live in harmony with the unknown is to cultivate a mindset of curiosity and wonder, viewing life as an endless journey of discovery. When we approach each day as an opportunity to learn and grow, fear dissolves, replaced by a sense of excitement and anticipation. We come to realize that the unknown is not something to overcome but a path to be walked with openness and trust. Every experience becomes a stepping stone, a chance to deepen our connection to ourselves and to the world around us. By embracing the unknown, we free ourselves from the limitations of fear and step into a life that is expansive and rich with possibility. This is the essence of spiritual freedom, to live not in resistance to the unknown but in communion with it, to walk boldly into the mysteries of life, trusting in our inner guidance and in the wisdom that unfolds with each step we take. Conclusion: stepping into life with unshakable self-worth. As we reach the conclusion of this journey, let us pause to honor the path traveled, one marked by courage, inner transformation, and a reclamation of our true self. In each chapter, we ventured through layers of doubt, insecurity, and inherited limitations, peeling back illusions to reveal the profound truth of our inherent worthiness. Through the wisdom of ancient mystics and sages, we've uncovered that self-worth is not something granted by the external world, nor is it something to be earned. It is the essence of who we are, a divine inheritance from the very core of our being. It is a truth that cannot be diminished, regardless of circumstances or judgments. The journey to embracing self-worth, then, is a journey of remembering, a return to the purity and wholeness that has always existed within. In accepting our worth, we find the strength to live freely, no longer burdened by the need for approval or validation from others. With this understanding, relationships shift from being sources of dependency to mirrors of mutual respect and growth. We learn to stand as our own source of strength, acknowledging that our value does not increase or decrease based on the opinions or expectations of others. When we embody this understanding, we transcend the fears and insecurities that once held us back, stepping forward with a sense of completeness that is unwavering. The world around us may change, and we may face new challenges, but our foundation remains steady, grounded in the realization of our own sacred worth. Living with unshakable self-worth does not mean life becomes devoid of difficulties. Rather, it means we face these challenges with a newfound resilience, anchored in the certainty of who we are. When setbacks arise, we no longer see them as reflections of inadequacy but as opportunities to deepen our understanding and strengthen our resolve. The trials of life become teachers, guiding us to even greater self-awareness and compassion. With each experience, we are reminded of the expansive potential within us, the ability to adapt, learn, and grow. This is the path of mastery, where our worth is not a fragile flame subject to the winds of circumstance but a steady light illuminating our journey, even through moments of darkness. As we integrate this wisdom into our daily lives, we begin to notice subtle shifts in the way we perceive ourselves and others. We move through life with a sense of ease, no longer striving to prove or defend ourselves. Interactions become more authentic, guided by the inner assurance that we are enough, exactly as we are. This sense of wholeness allows us to open our hearts fully, to extend compassion and understanding without the need to protect or shield ourselves from imagined threats. The world appears less as a battlefield of competing values and more as a vast field of shared experiences, where each person's unique path contributes to the collective journey toward awareness and fulfillment. The journey of self-worth is ongoing, a continuous unfolding of our deepest nature. As we proceed on this path, we are called to return, time and again, to the quiet truth within, to remind ourselves of our inherent value and to reinforce our commitment to living from this place of inner strength. Just as the seasons cycle and nature renews itself, so too must we revisit and reaffirm our worth, especially when faced with moments of doubt or self-questioning. Each step is a reaffirmation of our choice to live in alignment with our highest self, a choice that transforms not only our own lives but the world around us, as we inspire others to recognize and honor their own worth. With this newfound understanding, may we walk forward into life with an open heart, embodying the strength, grace, and resilience that comes from knowing who we truly are. May we become beacons of self-worth, living reminders that true value is a matter of inner recognition, an unwavering light that shines from within. And as we move through the world with this sense of completeness, may we bring peace to ourselves and all those we encounter, guided always by the timeless truth that we are enough.